Hot Top Sports where the takes don't miss. The prof with the stats, the champ with the fist. Water bringing fire, cowboy tie riding bold. Bulls calling bets, watch the stories unfold. And it's truly eyebrows running the show. It's Hot Top Sports, baby. Let's get it, let's go.
Good evening, good afternoon. My golly, do we have ourselves a show for you tonight? Listen, we had a show, a good one stored, and then Brian Kelly gets canned literally moments before the show. So we're going to start off with that because we assumed it would be happening. The Pete Thamel news was coming out that the meetings were starting to take place, and I go, we've seen this before. We've watched this movie. We're experts in this, if you will. But we're doing something even more fun. Everyone's going to get to play. We're playing a game today, okay? Not the solve version type of game, but just a nice little fun game between all of us. Allie's also going to be playing. She does not know the answer to the test. I'm the only one that holds the answers to the test. Been telling you all this time. I want to put together a graphic of the current coaches that Florida is looking at. And let's just see where they all line up. But it's going to be even better because you're not going to know who you're looking at. We're going to take just straight data and figure out which is the best option based on data. Not personalities, not what we know about who they are, not whether or not they've pushed someone off of a cliff. None of those things are going to play into a factor today, which I know those are important factors, but I want to take that away from just a moment. Let's strip it back a little bit. So sit back, relax. We're going to have ourselves some fun. Allie Peak joins us here for a great show and sort. She was just helping me she made it even better. We were talking before the show, and we've got some cool insights. I'm really excited to go over this little game that we haven't played here. Brian Kelly, though, Allie. You saw it coming?
Whoo! I mean, when Thamel said earlier today that the assistants were sent home so that he could meet with the athletic director alone, the writing was kind of on the wall. But man, what a toxic fan base that wants this head coach out, even though he has a winning percentage. And I mean, he was just throwing Texas A&M a bone. Ungrateful, toxic fan base.
I was just going to transition to that about how the toxicity of that fan base. And Tim Brando told me today, the man himself, that Brian Kelly wasn't going anywhere. So his pulse of the entire thing is just obviously out of the fact that he wrote another dissertation and supported and backed, which here's what we're going to show the graphic here in a minute, which just makes his statement even more outlandish when we go through this, when we show our little graphic of Billy and Brian, of how we were toxic for booing. But This man who's taken them to 10 plus wins for the last, how many years. Look, this team, I mean, it's funny. I called Cody because Cody this morning was like, he's not going anywhere. The expectations were low. No, sweetie. The expectations for LSU were through the roof this year. And they have not lived up anywhere near it. And yeah, that A&M ass whooping was the nail in the coffin, if you will. And now does this, for Florida fans, should we be a little nervous of this thing just got a whole lot scarier in the sense of competition, if you will? If I was like, if we're looking at a 5-star recruit and now there's more hats on the table with some juice behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, we could have hired whoever we wanted to last year and had absolutely zero competition. And because we gave Coach Napier a vote of confidence instead, which, by the way, I was told, and I know you were told, came with a promise of an OC, which clearly didn't happen. Here we are, and this feels like, I don't know, supermarket sweepstakes. Like we're all going to be fighting for the same piece of the pie. I will tell you, you know this just as well as I know this, that Brian Kelly wanted the Florida job, and Florida didn't hire him, which we might still be looking for a new head coach, but it would have been a better hire than Napier in hindsight. But I don't agree that LSU is a better job than Florida. I think LSU is a very similar job to Florida in terms of prestige. I still think you get more resources with the University of Florida. There's no comparison when you are trying to sell your university as a whole between Florida and LSU. There's still no state income taxes in the state of Florida. If I fully believe, we want Lane. We will either get Lane or Lane will stay at Ole Miss, in my opinion. He has ties to Florida. He doesn't have ties to LSU. Choo-choo. I mean, I'm all aboard, but I don't think we don't get Lane because he goes to LSU.
And I agree completely. I've been saying that. I've been beating that drum of again, the money, the fame. He wants to get close to the sun.
Leverage it. I mean, you'd be
For
an
sure.
idiot
Well, I
not to
mean, he's
leverage
I
it,
mean,
right?
there's. I don't think he needs
The
LSU to
amount
leverage.
Florida is going to pay, like,
Yeah.
we're all about to be asked for our firstborn child.
Yeah.
The amount of money we're gonna have to pay to get who we want
We're
is
good on the money. He's good on the money part for needing it for leverage. Him winning this weekend did enough. Him tagging Lauren Ratledge and Tim Tebow. He
yeah,
knows. He's aware.
he knows. He knows. Did you see, I don't know if this is actually true or not, Logan Media Network reporting that Kiffin said, "I said we'll be back here to this stadium. I didn't say what some people are thinking that I said." Which if you watch that clip,
He did
there's
not
no
say
way
it.
he said,
No, people are.
no.
So we talked about it today's show. I wonder if that's true. That's interesting because
I wonder if
if
it's true too.
he
I'm not
steps up,
saying it's true, people. I just read it on the internet.
did Buddy Martin write it? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Stop. I'm just kidding. I don't nothing but love here. Everyone know we like to joke. I love it. I love it. I'm gonna get dragged for that. So I said it today. I said, look, if I'm Ole Miss, I'm running with it. I'm saying that
Well,
he said I'm
100%.
yeah, for sure. But I was
Yeah, for
frustrated
sure.
because people like actual like reports were coming out that he said
I
I'm
know.
I was like, guys, just take I know the grainier it's grainy, but you can look at this for 3 seconds like
And
he's
know that that's not
it's
what
like I run this town or I own this town. Like it had nothing to do with I'm not leaving. Like
right.
it's go watch Wolf on Wall Street. That says I'm not leaving. It's very
Right.
different.
It-
He said this is
very
our house.
different.
Yeah, that's what I think he said. This is our house.
They're grasping at straws at this point. But you know what? If he ends up coming to Florida and Mississippi believes that he lied to them and told them that he was coming back and then he didn't, it's just going to make this so much more fun when we play them next year.
Oh, I hope we get him. We get to go play that. Let's talk about LSU job for just a moment, and then we'll kind of dwell on this, and then we'll get into the coaching stuff because that's where the juice of this conversation is. Brian Kelly kind of threw a wrench, not a good kind of wrench into this conversation, but I'm glad you mentioned because I'm biased. So it's hard for me to sit here and say, hey, the Florida job is better, or if we want to really compare, we're splitting hairs if we're being quite honest with you. And I felt that way, but I was like, it's hard for me to sit here and state that it's different. In my eyes, the way that I look at it, if we're looking at tiers for college football of like just top tier job, and when I think of top tier job, you're thinking, okay, you go there, it recruits itself, it's fundally supported, it has a history of winning, it just carries this nostalgia that you just show up, turn the key on, and it runs like nobody's business, right? Yeah. Ohio State you think of, Alabama you think of. To be honest with you, I felt like USC was always in that category. I still think that it is, and to be quite honest with you. Like you just got, I don't know what Lincoln's doing, but if he were to leave tomorrow, that job is just as appealing. Like that's how I look at USC. Texas is close. They're close. But then you go beneath that, and again, Georgia's not in that category. They're just not. I would put Notre Dame in that category too. Even though they don't have the history, it's just Notre Dame. You want to be a primetime television, Notre Dame has that same type of aura to it. Then after that, you've got Florida, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee. Like they're all in my eyes. And then I would argue that there's edges from other places for those schools. And again, I think we always Florida, they're just, they're hubris, they're toxic, they're arrogant. We all know, and that's my thing. If you take LSU and you take Florida, and they are both running at top speed, you can't tell a difference. But if you're looking at overall quality of school, it's going to be Florida. I would argue that LSU, because they are the prime school in LSU, is a huge factor for just owning the state of Louisiana. But I think NIL's changed that. I think kids are willing to move around because of the financial situation of it, personally.
But I honestly don't think that the talent in Louisiana is on par with the talent in the state of Florida. So yes, we have to compete with Florida State and Miami in the state of Florida. But I think that the state is so talent rich that you are still ending up with better options than you are coming out of Louisiana. So I kind of think that balances out a little bit. We also don't rob children's hospitals, which is a
big plus
check in the win column for us. It's a better academic institute. It has, I believe, more alumni. I would need to double check that. But I mean, it's a very similar job. And I think that, see, I don't agree. It says, I love you, but LSU's a bigger job. I don't
this
think
one too.
so.
I think, and look, and maybe we're biased.
We are biased, and I totally get that. We are biased towards Florida, but still, I mean, okay, so Penn State job came open. Florida job open. We haven't heard about the Penn State job since.
Yeah.
Florida is a better job than the Penn State job is. I do think that, I mean, LSU and Florida were open the last time. The person LSU hired called Strickland and wanted the Florida job, and we didn't get him. Now, I don't think Strickland's done a great job at hiring, so maybe he should have said yes instead of no. But Brian Kelly wanted the Florida job over the LSU job. So, I think that they're really close. I think when you look at resources, both what's available to you in the state, what's available to you from the university, take into account that there is no state income tax, which I have no effing clue if there's income tax in Louisiana, but I'm going to say there is. I don't know. We're going to have to Google that. We win.
Yeah, I think too. You make a good point where, look, I think if if you're saying, hey, LSU's a better job, I would say maybe the front office is more willing to sling it.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're more willing to cheat, and that gets good for something.
What's that?
I said they're more willing to cheat, and that's good for something.
Well, I meant like spend money is what I was alluding to more so. I mean, they're dropping $53 million for Brian not to be their coach, and
right.
They moved a lot faster.
Yeah.
They moved a lot faster, more fluently. But look, I think you can go back and forth. I think it's a very close line.
There is state income tax in Louisiana. I just Googled.
Yeah. I don't think I don't feel like it's a fear for LSU. I think Ole Miss is now afraid. And all of a sudden they're like, oh crap, like this scares them more than Florida, which is weird to me. Yeah.
Particularly because he doesn't have ties to Louisiana. He literally has ties to the University of Florida.
Yeah. That's, again, we're on the same caboose on that one. See what I did there. But let's dive into this. All right, so here's where the game starts, boys and girls. Everyone's involved. You're all welcome to participate. This is where the chat really dials in. Before I move on, though, a couple super chats. $2. Brando is a bad comedian trying to be a sports guy. Yeah, I listen. I don't like to usually attack other kind of announcers, but he's really irritated me as of late. It's when someone has that type of power and they just like there needs to be some accountability. Like it's like the guy has an agenda clearly.
Yeah.
Anthony Beck, no, not expecting this to affect us with Lane Kiffin. Yeah. I'm glad we're.
I agree with that.
Yep. $20, my man. Billy's dream job at LSU has opened. The stars are aligning for him. It's all just a part of his process. Could you imagine?
If they hire him and then he gets an actual OC and a good defensive coordinator and they win, they're not going to hire him, but how absurd would that be?
Oh, it would sting. Boy, 700 strong. Smash the like button if you guys are just joining and you're like, hey, should I subscribe to this channel? Let us sell you on this segment we're about to do because I'm really pumped about it. So this gives you a little tidbit, all right? This is a little graph, a little polygraph here.
So absurd.
This is crazy, but we're about to look at 6 graphs after this. So this is kind of like a little bit of a teaser of what we, us Florida fans, are working with and LSU. And then we have 6 options on the table. And we're going to vote on which we feel is the best for Florida football. There's no personalities, there's no names. And then we're going to do 2 levels, which was Allie's idea. Because I'm not going to tell you who's who. I'm not going to tell you like what 6 names are on the table. You're going to try to figure out what 6 names are on the table once we devote on a certain color. Okay. And I'm going to actually I'll get a poll up here so we can do this easy. I should be able to do this from here and I can. I don't know if I can do 6 options though, which is my only pet peeve. I can only do 4. That's a real bummer. All right, we're going to just do it by eye. All right, anyways. So this chart here you can see is very interesting. And we can look at Brian Kelly, which is the lower one. And again, what we're looking at is overall win percentage, the cost and value. So the way that I put this together was like the cost of trying to get said coach into the door, right? How much would this cost Florida to get them in? Player development, recruiting, which Billy's a little bit over exaggerated there personally. Win big games, the recent peak / trajectory where we feel that it can go, and then offensive identity. Okay. You see what we were working with Nape. Very small circle.
We can get him. It looks like for cheap, but except, I feel like we paid a lot for him, but he's not going to win. He's going to recruit really well, never win a big game, and his trajectory is terrible.
Yeah, we're just twiddling our thumbs here.
Literally hope. There's a little triangle that's hope. That is what his
That's
stands
what he
for.
sold. So why we wanted to show this chart, the Brian Kelly one is just because it's an interesting one to compare of what they fired versus what we fired, Tim Brando. When we think about,
Right.
okay, well, we got to go better than this. When we go to this next chart, you're going to look and go, wow. Like, wow. Maybe we're fishing in a better pond than we may think. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Are we ready to dive into it? Any questions or thoughts on this, Allie, before I move on that I'm missing?
No, this is just the Napier chart is just
Earth
wild.
shattering.
It is.
Earth shattering. All right. Here are the charts. Again, Allie does not know. They're all, as you can see, they're blacked out. She does not know who's who. I gave her an early look so she can start putting together her thought process. So keep in mind, this is a nice overall. There's two charts here because some people might have a hard time seeing this. So I also put together in a bar graph as well. And you can kind of, I mean, quick synopsis. The two red ones give you kind of that more overall appeal. The green is a kind of overall, but a little bit lower. The blue has some really high points, some kind of points you're concerned about. You can see what you're working with, right? I'm not going to say too much because I know, and I don't want to try to point anybody in any kind of direction. How we're going to do this is it's 1, 2, 3. So the, like, I guess darker red is 1, the middle red's 2, green 3, then 4, 5, 6. So put down in the comments, who is your number one guy based off these charts? Okay. Do we like this chart better or this chart better, Allie? What do we think?
I mean, I think they're both good.
This one looks a little bit cooler. Bar graphs are cool, but sometimes this kind of gives you, like, I think, a better overall synopsis of, like, okay, like all around, just like give me that guy.
Yeah. Interesting.
We got to vote for number 2 already, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Give me 1. Okay. We got 1 vote for 1 vote for 2. 2, 1, 1, 2. This is, y'all are gonna go nuts. Y'all are gonna go
2, and
nuts.
4 are 1, 2, and 4 are the ones I'm looking at. Green has to be a defensive-minded coach, I'm gonna guess. And
Okay.
6. That's gonna be my
Kiffin is
guess.
1, red 1, 2, 1. Give me 1. Give me 1. Steve said this one. Steve, I can't see where you're pointing.
Give us a number, Steve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We got a 3 in there. We got a 6. 6 is wild. Wild pull there for the 6. I love this. This is awesome. This is going better than I thought that it would. I'm so fired up right now. Look at this. 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. A little 4sies in there. I like a 4 pick. Some 4s in there. Okay.
I almost think give me 2.
Franklin is 1. 1 is Kiffin. 2 is Braum. 4, 1. All right. It seems like
Did
1,
you do
2.
the colors associated with the school?
No.
Okay.
There's nothing you can, there's no way you could figure out who is who by looking at this chart.
I don't even know the 6 coaches that you're throwing out there. This
Even
could
better.
literally be 6 high school coaches.
Even better. That's the whole point of this. All right. So it feels like, I feel like if I had to pick out from the chat, and you said, what were yours? 1, sorry, what did you say?
1, 2, and 4 are my favorite. I think I might lean 2.
Okay. That's where a lot of people were.
Well rounded.
And I'm going to give some, I don't want to give hints here. I don't want to give hints here. I'm not ready to
Well,
do that
everybody
yet.
get married to your number, and then you can tell us the 6, and we can try and figure out who's who.
Give me my number.
Well, I'm saying, like, everybody can just be married to their number, so I'll be married to 2, and then you can tell us the 6 names, and we can try and place where they go.
You might have to do that. The chat's going to be insane. Guys, how you read these charts, you can kind of see it's closely. Again, it's pulling into directions, right? So the outer of the circle is a 10. It's giving a score out of 10. Okay, 10 being the best. And you've got recruiting your top right. You've got winning of big games, like your 3 o'clock, your 4 o'clock.
Is Kiffin 5?
I can't say anything. All right. So what are we doing? We're guessing now. You want to guess? Oh, I have to give you 6 coaches, or you're going to guess the 6 coaches?
Give me 6. Give me 6 coaches.
You're not guessing the 6?
You want me to guess? I mean, we're
That might be
grasping
too
at
much.
straws here.
That
I'm
might be too much.
assuming that you're gonna go team people that Florida's probably looking at, but I don't even know that for sure.
Yes. There isn't a name that's going to catch you off guard. There may be a name that you weren't. Maybe not. Brent Key is not on here,
Okay.
and Alex Gold is not on here.
Okay. All right. So Kiffin's on there,
Correct.
and is Franklin on there?
Correct.
Okay. Signetti on there?
No,
Signetti's not on there. Drinkowitz on there?
he is. There's your
Brom on
three.
there?
He is.
Okay. Is Lashley on there?
He is not.
He is
We got some
not.
fives coming in from the clouds here.
Okay. Is Fran Brown on there?
He is not.
He is not. Okay. Let's see. Who
Who are we
else
missing?
might
Three? We're
Florida?
missing two, right?
We're missing two.
I'll give them to you.
Um,
Lincoln Riley and Jed Fish.
Okay. Lincoln
Yeah.
Riley was going to be my next guess.
You guys
so,
weren't ready
okay.
for that one, okay? Trent Diffler, his chart was too good, so I couldn't put him on here.
Trent Dilfer?
All right,
He's not
now
on there?
I'm gonna let you, Allie. When you get it right, I will remove the black strip from that chart. So
Okay.
you go with what you feel best. You know the 6 names now. You don't have to go in
Okay.
order.
Is 5 Kiffin?
Number 5 is Lane Kiffin, which there
Okay.
wasn't too many votes for the old Kiff dog.
Got that offensive identity, but not win a whole lot of big games on there.
Good job. Look, there were some. You're taking 5. Let's get it. Okay, so there were some 5s that came in late. I'm not gonna lie. There was definitely some 5s that came from the clouds late, and I appreciate that. Let's keep it moving.
Is 2 Franklin?
2 is not Franklin.
Okay. Is it Drinkowitz?
2 is not Drinkowitz.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Is 1 Lincoln Riley?
1 is Lincoln Riley, which a lot
Okay.
of people wanted Lincoln Riley.
Mhm.
There was a lot of votes for 1s. Look, now that we know the names, nobody can go back now. Okay. Oops, I just deleted
Right.
Lincoln.
Okay.
Isn't this fun?
Yes, this is fun.
This is so cool. And what I love is that the 1, 2, and 4 were adamant, right? There were a few 5s that sprinkled in there. I think they realized when you said Kiffin that was the Kiffin train, so they flipped the switch. I will give Harris credit; he said 5, but 1, 2, and 4 were adamant, and I want people to remember that. I'm not gonna let you forget.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right. Is 3 Franklin?
He's not.
Shit. Okay. 6 Franklin?
6 is Franklin.
Okay.
6 is Franklin. And we'll talk about Franklin here separately because that's an interesting conversation that I want to dive into.
Yeah.
These
It
next
is interesting.
these
All
next
right.
ones are crazy because we got Drink, Fish, and Brom. And don't forget, a lot of people picked 2 and 4. Allie. A lot of
Okay.
people picked 2 and
So
4.
2 Fish?
2 is not Fish.
Then 2 is Brom.
2 is Brom.
And 3 is Drink.
Yep.
And 4
Yep.
is Fish.
So
Yeah.
to do what's funny with it, because personally, Fish looks really good in my eyes here. Lincoln and Fish look really good.
Yeah.
And let's reveal, all right, the power rankings based on this chart here. Oh, whoops. That was from earlier. Sorry, I'll bring it back here in just a minute. This is
You're
where we
good.
are. So Lincoln at number 1. Lane Kiffin is not 2. Okay, you can
No,
see he's
Brom
lower. It's not,
two.
and it's not in correct order here. Brom is 2, then Fish is 3, then Lane. But you see where James is.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Now,
But if you're taking into account your entire career, you also have to take into account the fact that he was at Vanderbilt.
well, look, this is why numbers are fun, but they don't. That's why I wanted to just because everyone wants to throw numbers out there like so and so did this, so and so did that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go back to this because for people just tuning in to see because this is a fun way to look at it.
Yeah.
The Franklin one was interesting, and I talked to a Georgia buddy of mine today, and he goes, "You guys don't want James." He's like, "That's Mark Richt 2.0." And
I completely agree with that statement. And I love Mark Richt.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, buddy, he kind of stunned me there. Hit me with. I mean, I can argue with anybody. I was kind of like, because I'm thinking, well, Mark left Georgia and sucked. You know what I mean? And Mark got fired with.
They got rid of him because he couldn't beat Florida. He could win 10 games every single season, but none of them happened in Jacksonville.
So the big thing that I learned from this is we all want the splashy hire, because keep in mind what's a big part of this too is value. And that's something that I
Yep.
keep saying, that Lincoln and James are going to ask for a bigger check because the aura that surrounds them.
Mhm.
Where the Jeff Fishes and the Brahms aren't going to carry as
Yeah.
much weight. Now we heard that, I don't know if you I saw an article from Zach Overy kind of talking about the Brahms personality, and that's where Fish really intrigued me. And I was talking about Jeff Fish today. I was like, man, this guy has he turned around Arizona. He
Yeah.
turned around, like literally turned it around. Like this thing's going 100 miles an hour. The gas pedal stuck, and he went down there without like, blindfolds on, pulled it out, and turned it back around. Type of
Mhm.
turnaround for Arizona and
Yeah.
Washington. They're 6-2 right now on a little bit of a burner, and he's a UF alum. Like, hey, hang on,
Mhm.
hold up, fill my
Yeah, he
cup
gets
up.
what the logo means, and that's a positive. I don't think, I mean, he doesn't have head coaching experience in the SEC, which is a negative in my book. He idolizes Steve Spurrier. He'd crawl over broken glass to get here.
Where's a
We could
visor?
probably get him. Where's a visor? Add that to the win column. Um, I just fear that he would never fully get the buy-in that some of these other names would, because it's not a splashy hire, and Florida wants a splashy hire. Florida fans want a splashy hire. I don't know
Yeah,
what Florida
yeah.
administration
Muddy,
wants,
muddy.
but
One. He was 1-11 his first year at Arizona. 10-3 3 years later.
yeah, but it doesn't take 4 years?
Just 3 for Jed Fish. And
Huh.
I have been a component of like, I'm like, Jed's not sexy. Again, this is why I wanted to do this, because
Yeah.
I have bought into the sexy, like like it's not sexy enough or what have you,
Yeah.
right? And look, this
Yeah.
chart here, Eli really, like, again, if you're looking at the 6, James is concerning, right? Which we know that.
Yeah.
And again, it describes him perfectly. Offensive identity, we know that. And so the James does not fit what Florida fans would want either.
Yeah.
And I would still put Eli based on this. And I know like there's a couple of, I know Stadium and Gale guys, they're really pumping James. And I think it's healthy to go all of it's great, these conversations.
Mhm.
The Brom one, I really kind of got my train rolling on Brom, but then the
Yeah.
whole idea, his thought process of his inability to have great conversations really threw me off. Lincoln came from the clouds from Dan the other day. And I was a big component of Lincoln Riley 3 years ago. I loved Lincoln. I thought he
Mhm.
was a top 5 coach in my opinion. And I
Yeah.
was like, this guy's going to run amok at USC. And it hasn't worked out. And
Yeah, I am shocked, honestly, that he has not done better out there,
yeah,
um, than he has. This is an interesting, chart, but I mean, I don't know. You are in the second most talent-rich state in the country as far as recruiting goes, maybe the third behind Texas potentially, but I think it's Florida number 1, and then probably Texas, then probably California, so let's call it the third. You don't have any massive competition in there. I mean, UCLA and Stanford are there, but USC used to never recruit on the same level that USC and Stanford did. I mean, there was a huge leap. So if it's leveled, that's probably on Lincoln. I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't. There's something about Lincoln Riley that's always seemed slightly slimy to me. So
it's a
if
little
he comes
off.
here, I'll totally change about that tune, I'm sure. But um, yeah, I don't know. But Braum is intriguing. I've heard he won't leave Louisville because it's his alma
Alma
mater.
mater.
But I, you've got to think he's young. Um, does he really not have the itch there? And I don't know if I've ever said it to you like this. I've said it on my show, but I feel like there's two kind of categories that coaches fall in, and one is the one that has to fly close to the sun,
Yeah.
and then there are those who are okay being comfortable. And you kind of find out, is that Braum, is he comfortable? This is the top of the mountain for him because he went to school here. He could probably keep the job as long as he wants to. He's finding some great success. Likes the area, is just okay being there. A la, let's say, Kurt Ferenz. Ferenz has gotten called so many times for bigger jobs over the last 20 years and has said no every single time. Or are you somebody who, like Dan Mullen, that wanted to fly closer to the sun? He could have stayed at Mississippi State for the rest of his career. The stadium would probably be named after him right now. But he had that desire to see, can I consistently win championships? Can I compete at the absolute highest level? And let's be honest. Louisville could win a national championship. They will not create a perennial powerhouse at Louisville. So, does he want to fly close to the sun or does he want to stay comfortable?
Let's play one more game. We'll probably play more, but
Let's do
this is another game I just thought of here. Outside of Kirby and we'll say Ryan Day, who are your top 5 coaches right now?
Hmm. That's a great question. I think you put Signetti up there.
Yep.
I mean, what he's doing at Indiana is
No,
incredibly
but it doesn't have to be in
impressive.
order. Don't think like that.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
Sure. I mean, I think Signetti, I think Kiffin, I think
Okay.
this season, Clark Lee.
Okay.
This is a great this is I think you put why can't I think of his name? What's his face at Texas A&M
Okay.
up there right
You
now?
forget my boy Elko. Yeah.
Yep. Nope, not gonna forget Elko. Just forget his name, but not forget him. Okay, so what is that 3, 4?
That's 3. Yeah. You could probably argue
I mean,
Freeman's in that category.
I think you can argue Freeman. I mean, and you said we had to remove Kirby and Ryan Day, but
Yeah.
obviously they would be up there otherwise.
Dan Lanning's
I don't know,
probably up there.
Manning's probably up there. Although
My
I
point
swear
for
I
the-
think that they are somewhat inconsistent, but
Yeah, I agree. My point for the question was, and this goes back to the chart here, because there's a thing with Lincoln. As great as Lincoln's circle is, we have a lot of data on Lincoln that concerns me about Lincoln.
yeah.
And there's him going to USC and not having success type of data that scares me about Lincoln.
Yeah.
When I think about coach, because I tweeted out today, like, hey, why is it Elko on our list? And I know why he's not on the list, but why? Everyone's like, there's no way. Well, we talked about Dan Lanning and guys that there's no way anyways. Like we put Urban Meyer on the list at one point. Like
They're mentioning Elko with the Penn State job because Elko's from the Northeast. So if the Penn State job is even anywhere remotely on the table, why would the Florida job not be remotely on the table? And even if it's not, you make him say no.
So that was my point. Is like I feel like it's like it wasn't an egregious question. But let's go.
Yeah,
Let's look at a track record from Elko, because Elko falls into a category like a Jed Fish and a Brom, because they turned things around and showed a nice trajectory moving forward. Because I would say that Lincoln's recent trajectory is probably a bit skewed. Personally, I don't think it should be that high. But
Yeah.
Jed Fish and
Well,
Brom have
Lincoln-
showed what Elko showed, what Kurt Singetti showed, that they won everywhere they went. Billy didn't show that. Billy just showed that he won at one place for a year and a half. Okay, so they're not the same comparison. DeBoer also very similar. Won everywhere that he went, although he had we call it a rough year. And this is where I start to look of like, well, maybe like we know, and Lane is in a weird, again, Lane is still, I think even more so, the more that I talk about it, is definitely option number 1, because although it's a little bit skewed. Think about that one bottom half there is cost value. So Jed Fish and Brom, that bottom left quadrant, are getting tugged because of the cost of them, which is huge.
Right.
That they're getting a lot of points for that. Keep that in mind. So if that isn't a factor, because I try to look at this from like an AD perspective.
Yeah, you remove that, and that's pretty much a very similar shape to some of these others. I want to know what Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer's shapes would look like. Like what worked here before, what shape fit well.
Should we start our own turnkey?
I mean, absolutely.
I feel like we're onto something here. You know what I mean?
I mean, we created these shirts the last time I was on. Now we're gonna create. I mean, let's go.
I mean, what are we doing here? Good Lord, who's doing it? I mean, 1,000 people strong. We're trying to get to 30,000 subs. If for the shirt creation in a week, look, this was an idea a week ago. All right, this was an idea a week ago.
Literally last Sunday.
It's print and delivered within 6 days. I mean, there's just nobody with that kind of turnaround time in the north hemisphere. I'm just telling you right now, there's not. And now we've essentially just hired a coach. I think, I don't even know, but my point, my rant there was Mike Elko is very appealing to me. Kurt Singetti is one of the hottest names on the market, and these guys were showing they could win. I mean, when you think about Mike Elko being hired from Duke, well, what was he so appealing? The guy just won 9 of 10 games at Duke. He just needed the edge. The James Franklin was 1-10 and 9-10 at Penn State with much
but he was
better.
also doing it at Vanderbilt before that.
Well, when he 9-10, yeah, and so that was, and so it's almost Penn State was the leap, and he proven he can't do it at the big time, right? And so that's where it's almost worth taking the risk. And that's where I think Lane falls into that category of these guys, but at a higher level.
Yeah.
Because Ole Miss, I mean, Ole Miss is a much higher program than, let's say, Washington and Louisville, sure. But how much higher?
Yeah. There's still a ceiling there.
So what we confirmed tonight by looking at this is that it's Lane, right? But I think that looking at this, I mean, outside of a not a splashiness and not a sexiness, I wouldn't be too frightened with the Brahms or the Fishes.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. This is an interesting little exercise. I am going to make you, when we get off air, you do the same thing with Spurrier and Urban. I just want to see what their shapes look like in comparison.
You're missing personality and swagger fit. Look, and I think that's and that's why once we had,
and that's true, 100%, 100%.
And look, that's why I wanted to take it's twofold here. So if I was an AD, I said let's separate it. And now, okay, now we know our three guys are Brahm, Fish, and Lane. Now let's talk about personality fit. Well, I think that's where Fish and Kiffin go to the class of their own. That's where Brahm falls back a little bit. Yeah. And that's where Fish really pulls into this category that he wasn't. And we can even, I would say, throw Lincoln in. Again, there is a weird feeling. It's one of those things sometimes you can't explain. And I think Franklin falls into that category with Lane or Lincoln of like almost like Florida. Like, and again, I talked about it on Saturday. Like, hey, James is a good feel. It's like, are we just that afraid to make a reasonable hire that we're going to just go what we feel like a Mark Richt-esque? Like it's comfortable. We'll win 10 plus games. No, we got to go out there and we got to make a smart decision. How can A&M go and get Mike Elko and be on a historic run when they fired Elko? It was like, yeah, that's a good hire. Not like, damn, bro, you got Mike Elko.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. I don't think Florida can send the message that he wasn't good enough for Penn State, but he is good enough for Florida. You know, even if there had been like a couple of years in between, that would be a more palatable hire. But it is a hard argument, a hard sell to make to boosters that he couldn't cut it in a conference that we deem as subpar to the SEC in terms of competition you're going to see every single day. But somehow he is going to do better at Florida. Even if he is a reasonable hire, he is a less risky hire than some of these other guys. That is 100% true. I think his floor is higher than some of these guys, but I think his ceiling is lower potentially than some of these guys. And I do also think that fit matters. I think you're seeing at LSU right now a program that didn't take into consideration how personality fit factors into all of this. Think about his opening. It was like opening weekend when he was there. He was introduced on the basketball court and he brings out his Cajun accent and you're like, did that really just happen? Is that like what he thinks that this is here? Like there's no part of this that has ever been natural. And honestly, like Lane fits LSU's personality too. They want Les Miles. They want Nick Saban. They want somebody with, even Coach O fits in there. Like they want the loudmouth, brash coach, which so do we,
Yeah.
They'd prefer him with a Cajun accent, which is why O was perfect there. I think that was such a miscalculation. Honestly, Penn State could hire Brian Kelly. That would be fine. Like that would probably work better there.
Yeah, because he fit at Notre Dame. He fit like in a weird,
at Notre Dame.
And I would put those two in the same category.
A little bit more buttoned up in the Northeast. Like they do not understand the concept of tailgating. Starting from 9 a.m. 3 days before.
He would do better because he wouldn't be getting attacked. He would get attacked a little less directly, like he did in these LSU pressers. And look, Kurt at Indiana. Why does he fit? Because Indiana didn't have a clue who they needed. You know what I mean? Like it's just like they were just
have an identity, so it just now it's him.
looking for a pulse. But I think you're spot on there. I think that when you hear like, oh, this is so and so, like he's doing well there, like, oh yeah, that's his alma mater. Oh, so and so is like, oh yeah, it's his alma mater. Like, well, okay, is there a trend here? And I don't necessarily think that it, just because you coach your alma mater, you're gonna have success. But there is this weird nuance of like, you kind of just you hit the ground running. And you understand how to walk the halls. That's one less thing that you have to think about doing. I think Napier struggled with that probably for the first couple of years. That put him behind the eight ball of like how to navigate these halls. Where like you got to be a little bit of a dog. You got to know you've got to like smile, but then also be willing to stab someone in the back. Like that's how that's
I don't know that he ever learned what was necessary. I mean, I think he was a nice guy, and I think we purposefully probably went personality-wise different than Mullen. I think that was a choice, and I think if you look back for the last several of Florida's coaches, they kind of toggle between asshole, nice guy, asshole, nice guy. Like it's time for an asshole. That's where we are in the roller coaster of head coaching hirings, and you kind of look for the opposite of what your person you just fired has. But I don't, in hindsight, I don't know that Napier's personality was the right fit here.
Agreed. It just, I think it was growing, but it never really hit home. And look, I think Braum would fit, but there was about the article of like, can he go into somebody's house and recruit and bring them home? Like apparently, like, he just is not like talking to people, and that I mean that's hard to fix. This isn't something you just learn overnight.
Well, the good news is in the NIL era, it matters slightly less because if you come with the right amount of money, then that helps. I mean, I don't want a coach with no personality that can't sell the program because I think the program is worth committing to with or without any money involved in it. But I do think in this era, it matters slightly less than in previous eras.
Agree. A couple super chats. Matt Brandon says, we might be cooked. This was earlier.
This is something that my 11-year-old says all the time. I'm cooked.
I'm cooked. Alpha Gator, Allie, are you Buddy Martin's source?
No and yes. I don't know. I literally repeated a conversation we had on here, and I was like, well, if this is really a number that LSU might be looking at, then clearly we'd have to do better than that. But it was like a hypothetical. But I did ask him about that because I was a little nervous that I was the source on that. But he told me he spoke to 3 separate Ole Miss sources. And I will say this about Buddy Martin. He's been covering Florida for 60 years. He has been the editor of some really impressive sports pages across the country. So if there was somebody that was going to have 3 sources in the state of Mississippi, it would probably be Buddy Martin.
There we have it, buddy with the deets, baby. I love it. $2, 61 coaching changes last 2 years is a crazy stat. That is a crazy stat. I think it's gonna probably amp up a little bit more, to be honest with you. $2, you're taking 5. Let's get it. That was Lane Kiffin, which we would be happy taking 5. I don't know if they knew that at the time, Brock. $5, Allie. The splashy hire isn't a factor if we're winning. No one will care later. Agreed.
I think that's true. Nobody will care later, but that doesn't mean they don't care right away. And I think that having immediate buy-in is important.
Yeah, I think that anybody, I mean, Lane is the only one, and even still, I think he's gonna be met with some pushback, to be quite honest with you. But I feel like it would if look, you come in, you give me like Billy Gonzalez won half the people over with his speech on Monday, right? So
and that's a perfect example though of somebody who does understand the culture and understands what the fans needed to hear at that moment to win them over. And I think, he's not an idiot. He's a smart guy. And I will tell you, he has been saying the patch thing for 20 years. I've heard him say it. So that's not even something that's made up, but that's a perfect example of somebody that gets it. And why it's so important. The next hire is also somebody who gets it. But I mean, you're right to a certain extent. I'm going to get on the train of whoever we hire, right? Until they force me off or they take me to the promised land, one way or the other, and I hope that most Gator fans are like that. But I feel like we all kind of feel like the battered wife at this point, and it would be really nice to get somebody that feels like administration listened to this fan base and the type of coach that they wanted, took a gamble, and were successful.
Agreed. $2, Fish would get fan support like Mark Pope did at UK. I think that Fish would be welcomed pretty quickly. It may not be the splashy one, but Jedd Fisch would, I think, definitely be appreciated, especially by the boosters. I think he'd get a lot of support just by being an alum. $2 from Martha Beers. Thank you, Martha. $2. James was winning going against Urban and Harbaugh. Yeah, and I brought this up today. Like, yeah, he's 4-21, but the guy had to play Urban. He had to play Harbaugh. He had to play Ryan Day. He lost to Georgia. But at the same time, again,
you're gonna have to play Kirby. You're gonna have to play Drink. You're gonna the list that you're gonna have.
It's not gonna get any easier.
You're gonna have to play Mike Elko. The list goes on and on. So you're gonna have to play big names here too. We can't do
Yeah. Sam Adams, $2. ESPN rankings: 1 LSU, 2 Penn State, 3 UF. Thoughts? I think them throwing Penn State ESPN rankings are always wild because I want to know who puts them together. ESPN, in my opinion, has lost a lot of juice. Again, the ranking is the eye of the beholder, right? So it really comes down to of like, okay, personally, from a national media perspective, LSU's ranked higher. But if I'm going after said coach 1, 2, and 3, does Jed Fish look at LSU higher than Florida? No. Does Jeff Brom look at LSU higher than Florida? I don't know. Does Lincoln Riley look at LSU higher than Florida? I don't know. Brian Kelly looked at Florida higher than LSU last year. We just heard that here from Allie. So that to me is the important ranking, is who my target, how they rank us. I give two damns with ESPN. Their rankings are ass, even when it comes to recruiting. They got. I'm pretty sure they employ Brando. So we gotta take that with a grain of salt of who's on that
Well,
staff.
I mean, you can just tell based on what the national conversation has been around the Florida Penn State job. Now we'll see how much love Florida continues to get in the conversation now that LSU became open and is the new shiny toy. But I mean, we have not heard a peep about the Penn State job since the UF job happened.
I forgot it was
So
open.
that alone, you know, you what?
I forgot it was open. So
Right. Like that's it. I mean, I think the Penn State job is kind of what pushed our hand, but we have not heard anything about it since Florida has their opening.
Kalshi's a fun site. They sponsored our show before. They have it's basically human. It's like a stock market for things happening around the world. I like to see who LSU's coach is. It wasn't up yet. If you look at Florida, Lane Kiffin leads the way at 58%. I looked at Penn State. Matt Rule leads the way at 46%. Then Brian Hartline. Like when you look at the names of who's on the hot list for one, like it's Kiffin, then Franklin for Florida, and we've got Matt Rule and Hartline, and then Brom, right, is the 1, 2, and 3.
Message is it if Penn State fires their coach that made it to the playoffs semifinals last year and then hires somebody who is doing worse in the same conference?
Wild. With a 5-star with a better quarterback, if you
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, with a higher rated quarterback,
Did you
anyways.
see the Raiola story about his dad saying that Kurt Herbstreit is who convinced him to decommit from Georgia and flip to Nebraska, by the way? I feel like that's such a, I don't know. That's such a juicy
It's
little
an older
thing.
one, right? Or is that new?
I just saw it today on the timeline. I'm not sure when it's from, but I just find that very intriguing that, I mean, it's not tampering, but it is tampering.
Yeah, it kind of falls into that. It falls into that Brando
That's
S. Like,
very
dude, you
gray,
cover the
like-
sport too much to be that highly
Yeah.
involved. Yeah, but
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I agreed. I think he should have went. I'm glad he went to Nebraska. And you
Yeah.
wonder, because maybe Kirk, I mean, again, Kirk knows a lot. Kirk knows that, like, hey, I've been a component that Georgia has a hard time developing quarterbacks. And it's like, dude, you're going to sit behind this wall. And that's why I wish we got more. I feel like obviously Pate knows a lot, Josh Pate. But I do feel like Pate, in a way, and I think why some people, like, I think Pate does a great job. I'm not here to get into a pissing contest. But,
Yeah.
and this is why I kind of like the world that we kind of sit in, is like nobody's, when you get that close to the fire, it's hard to talk negatively or honestly about somebody because you're boys with them now. Like
Right.
Josh Pate couldn't say a negative word about Napier. He was like, I love the guy. Like let's just move past this. Like he couldn't even talk about the firing because of how close he got to him. And
Yeah.
look, if at some point, like, it's good and bad because like I want to know what the hell's going on. Like
Yeah.
you know, they have the true insight here. Just thoughts on that. $5. I don't like me fish with winning percentage. Brom equals an a-hole. Is that article 100% accurate? So we talked about it on the panel. They mentioned it before the article came out that he isn't like the nicest guy. So two separate things came from that, of him not being the most personable person. Again, I don't care if you're an a-hole at all.
Yeah.
But if it's not
The
translating.
locker room's gotta love you.
Yeah, and again, if it's not translating from a recruiting aspect, I think that's where it could go wrong. Look, Dan Mullen, in my opinion, was an a-hole. He wasn't relatable either, for being frank. But I think that the level of a-hole, like Mullen, I don't think the locker room was like hoorah for Mullen. I think the locker room would be hoorah for Brom. I just don't know if he would be shaking hands, kissing babies, and sucking up. Because you come to UF, I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong, Allie, but you gotta rub elbows with the big dogs. You got to eat lunch with Hal and take a photo for his profile pic. You know what I'm saying? Listen, just call it what it is. You got to get the pic. Hal needs his photo, and he ain't the only one. And I don't know and that's where I think where Brom was like, I'm not eating with you, Hal. Like that's where I think things could get dicey. Again, this is me just spitballing. I have no clue, but that's why I like being
Yeah,
away from
I
it.
mean, I don't know that Urban loved the booster influence either, but the locker room loved him. And I mean, and I do think a certain subsect of the locker room loved Mullen. I think it just, uh, I don't think all of them did, but all of them, for the most part, would go to battle for Urban. And so it just has to be the right, I don't know, the right fit. But you do have to be able to impress moms and dads in a living room. And I worry about
Mm,
that more than I worry about
mm.
rubbing elbows with the booster, because if you're winning, the booster's going to be okay.
Quick, quick
But
sidebar.
you do have to.
Do
What?
you quick sidebar? Do you think? Because you would know. Because this would make sense. Urban playing the heart attack play, right? Do you think it was more of like boosters, like it was just like a battle, like he just did not care, and like, he was able to win, which subsided the noise a little bit, but when it had an off year, they were able to get a little bit louder, and he was like, "I'm not doing this crap," and kind of put himself into.
So I will tell you this. My brother was on the team the year that that happened. And I can tell you that he called us from the team bus sobbing that Urban had had a heart attack, because that is what that coaching staff stood up and told that team on their bus on their way to, I want to say, their bowl game. And so there was, and it ended up being the esophageal spasms or whatever, but like
Mm,
there was a major medical emergency that happened, and it was relayed to the players, and they were like, this is something that's ingrained in my brain and will be probably till the day I die, because my brother was so upset when he called, because he literally thought there was a chance Urban was going to die. So I do believe that this medical event happened, and it felt very severe in the moment. Thankfully, it didn't end up being something that was life, altering or ending or anything like that. But um, I do think the pressure got to him, and I think he would tell you that it's staying at the top of the mountain. That's where the
mm.
pressure comes from. It's not getting to the top of the mountain. It's staying. And he talks about how when they won in '06, that he couldn't take the time to enjoy it because he needed to call all the recruits for the next year. And that's the class that had the Lakeland Seven and a bunch of really big names, and it ended up being the number one recruiting class in the country that year. But he talks about the pressure to stay at top. But I think part of that's how he is wired. I also think that how he is wired is part of why we ended up seeing Dan Mullen say things like, we'll talk about recruiting during recruiting season, because he purposefully, and he would tell you, I can't let what happened to Urban happen to me. I have to have a better work-life balance
Mm.
than he did. And so, but I think that Urban is maybe the most competitive person that we've ever had as a coach at Florida, which is saying something, because we've also had Spurrier, who I think is very, very competitive, but does a better job balancing his life than Urban did. And I think that that's also why he doesn't stay many places very, very long. I mean, he was here 6 years. He was at Bowling Green 2. He was at Utah 2. What did he make it, 7 at Ohio State? Like, because he is such a perfectionist and puts so much pressure on himself, he burns out.
See, you answered my question, but also tiptoed around the big juicy part of it, which I appreciate. Look, I don't think I was never alluding that he was faking it. Obviously, that's what everybody says.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that he was probably had some
Yeah.
complications, but
Yeah.
I was more saying that. Do you feel that the boosters were pressing
I
that?
don't.
Okay,
I
okay,
don't think it was the boosters. I
okay,
think that it was self-inflicted. I
okay.
think that he
So
put
you did
so much
answer it.
pressure
Okay,
on himself to
okay.
continue to perform at that level.
I'll
I
you
honestly
get a
think
pass.
you win 2 in 3 years, and the boosters are like, okay,
They'll pump the
you,
brakes for anybody. All right,
yeah, yeah,
just
you're good.
just get a pulse. Just try to feel up. Ask questions. Ask questions. People want to know. Wasn't Napier supposed to be the safe hire?
I think Napier was like 7 on the list, and so it was just like, make a hire.
That's not good. That's not good at all. And we could be, if we listen, that's where we want to be, that world again. $20 from my man Rook. We're gonna ruin Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Georgia's season. That's where I love where we're at right now. We're just in just ruin people's season mode, and it's a fun place to be. I don't want to live here forever, but we're
Yeah,
here, and
I
I'm gonna
wanna, like,
appreciate. Yeah,
so can Billy Gonzalez beat Ole Miss, and then Lane will be like, dude, come be my wide receivers coach. This is great. Like, clearly you have what it takes.
a nice little
Stick
handoff.
around.
And he's like, "Look, if I want to take the day off, like you can run the reins. I trust you."
I know you got it. Yeah.
Gator Gang, what were your thoughts when Buddy botched the story? Do you want to answer that, or do you want me to go?
So, I mean,
I
you
don't
can
think he
go. I
botched it,
honestly think I think he botched the headline. I don't think he botched the story. I think
but
it
it
was
wasn't even Buddy. Buddy didn't write
no,
it. Franz wrote it.
no. And I'm pretty sure AI wrote the tweet. Because Buddy eventually, because I was blowing Buddy up because I literally thought he was referring to me as the source. I'm like, that's not what I said, literally at all. But he was in the hospital with his wife that entire day. And so he got back to me, but like much later in the day. So I'm actually pretty sure that Buddy's AI wrote that tweet.
And they probably just took like a few things to try to make it spicy. Again, it was
Mhm,
the headliner, because when you opened it up,
mhm.
like it wasn't, and you and I talked about it,
Yeah,
it was like
the
it wasn't
article
as,
itself
yeah, it wasn't
was
that
fine.
juicy. Yeah, it was actually,
Yeah,
it was like us talking, like, hey, here's what I'm hearing, like blah blah blah. It
literally.
wasn't like it's been
Yeah,
offered. Lane's looking at it right now. That's how it read though.
yeah. It is. That's how the headline read, and so that's why I was like, "What in the world?" But then I also think about some of the things that I put as like YouTube headlines that are like,
It's
"Source tells us,"
it's a fine line. We gotta live in that. We gotta live in the
yeah,
sun by the sun too. Mike Nix, I chose Brahm.
that's his reality.
Everyone's like, hey, I picked my graph. Can you tell me a little about him? Well, I think we talked a little bit about him already. I don't know when you post this. I think again, the guy has won everywhere he's went, whether it was Purdue, whether it's Western Kentucky. He's produced a lot of great talent. He played himself. He's got a little bit of a swagger and an aura about him, very similar to Lane Kiffin. More monotone. More he's bald, which is a big factor for me. I think all great coaches and just successful people are bald. That was a little fun fact that we had. So if you don't believe me, look it up. Okay, it's true. So that's going for him. That's going for him. That wasn't part of the polygraph, which is could be that's huge. He would lead the way on that one. Him and James would run away with it. So some points that he was left off the table. And look, with the quick buzzers, they could all be in that category. So I wouldn't sleep on it. $5. No chart for Napier. Where are we?
We have it. You missed it. It's
Hey,
lovely.
we do,
This
big
was my
guy.
request.
It's the
Look
green
at the
one.
top graph.
It's the green one. That's old Nape. So we can only go up. Oh, we're up, which is a good thing.
Literally.
That's a good thing. Dedrick, $5. 1 second. If we do get Kiffin, I think we should get a young defensive coordinator, honestly, from the NFL. These next 5 games are going to tell us a lot about Lagway as well. We are going to learn a lot. And look, we'll get into DC talk and all those things. We got to get the HC in order beforehand. But yeah, we're going to learn a lot about this team, I think. I think this thing's going to open up a little bit, and we'll find some lot. We'll turn the page tomorrow. It's going to be F Georgia week. We'll have some great conversations on that. Junior, nothing stops this train. Lane can't resist Florida. Can't see him passing up on it. Not ready for option 2. Make it happen for the fans this time. I think they want to. Allie, you agree with that?
I mean, I hope so. That's what I'm hearing, and I think he wants this job too. I mean, there's
Hmm.
been multiple things that I have heard that makes me believe that he is at the very least listening. And I think side sources aside, or like sources aside, or anything like that. Think about this. On Saturday, he had the opportunity to meet with his team and talk about this rumor. He said he wanted to address it head on. It's not something he normally does. You know what he could have done? He could have signed the frickin' extension. You know what he didn't do? Sign the extension, which makes you know, at the very least, this is a conversation that is taking place. Because you want all the outside noise to stop, you sign it. And guess what goes away? All the outside noise. None of us are barely even talking about Signetti involved in this anymore because he signed his extension. So Lane and Lane alone could make this story go away, and he is choosing not to. So at the very least, he's hearing us out.
Kalshi has updated the Kalshi is the stock market moved by the people. Eli Drinkwitz has moved to 91%. And Lane's at
Florida?
84. Yeah, and James is at 14. After it was obviously the win and loss from Saturday flipped the script for how people feel this thing's going to go. Very interesting stuff. I don't think they've updated or have LSU yet because I really want to see.
I don't need a coach that can lose to Vanderbilt. I already had one of those.
Hey, look, it's not the same Vandy. Take it easy. The Pavio show. Okay. I don't think they have LSU up here yet, which is very.
I mean, that's going to change 18 times a day for the next 6 to 8 weeks. You know,
it's just fun.
it is. And it's been a hilarious 72 hours or whatever watching Ole Miss fans melt down, but like they're not built for this. This is the long haul. We are not going to have an answer until at the absolute earliest when the regular season is over. But that's only if Ole Miss somehow messes around and loses and doesn't make the playoffs, which at this point they have the best odds for making the playoffs of anybody in college football. So
Mm.
we are mid-December at the earliest before we have an answer here, if I had to guess. And
On
so,
Lane.
you know,
On Lane. Because if they go
on
elsewhere, I think
Lane.
it could get earlier.
On
Yeah.
Lane. I mean, if it's somebody else, we could hear the first week of December. But if it's Lane, the longer we get into December, the more likely it's Lane, I think. If you
Agreed.
know,
We talked about this
the
today.
SEC championship weekend comes and we still haven't heard anything, that's good. You know?
Agreed. $5. Strickland is a Mississippi State alum. I believe he wants Lane bad just to get one last jab at Ole Miss. And are we South Carolina fans now? Should it be Bama? I mean, yeah, let's go Cox. You know, I'm always a Boz Cox, rock and roll. Off topic, Lagway's cheeks will cost us the game. Well, Anthony, we're having a good Sunday. Like there is no need for that. You know, appreciate the $2. That was always Anthony. Love you. Rise agent let us know he was interested in 2022, and we didn't even listen. And Napier was our only target. Inexcusable. Lincoln Riley, yeah, that'd been a nice one there from Balmy Carper 91. Thank you for the $5. Well, Allie, great show. Thank you for always. This was a blast. Was it worth it? Was the game fun? We do well.
It was awesome. That is a really good visual, really nice way to kind of lay it out. And I think that you should be sending it to Scott Strickland so he knows what shape not to be looking for.
Yeah. I want credit. If that's all, I just want my name on there. Just get a sign passes, Scott. We don't ask for much. And maybe like for one game you put the High Thought Sports logo and / Allie Peak logo on the field. But we'll cross bridges when we get there, right?
We'll work on that, but definitely draw it up for Urban and Spurrier because I need to know.
Yeah, I'll do that. If maybe we'll talk about that in a separate one, or I'll post it for the people at home. Well, boys and girls, y'all be good, be safe. We're not going live on your show. We're just gonna post. All right. Well, I'll be on Allie's show sometime, I guess, this week, right?
Oh yeah.
I made it, boys. Y'all be good. Be safe. Tomorrow, live 9:35. We're gonna recap all of college football, and then of course tomorrow, Steven joins us. So we're not slowing down anywhere, boys and girls. Smash it, like it, do all the good stuff. Peace and love, baby.
And it's truly I.